Life can change in just one moment. One day you are smiling, the next day your whole world is broken. This is a painful story, but also a story of love, hope, and the strength of a little girl. It is about how joy can turn into sorrow, how family can fail you, and how sometimes, even in darkness, a small light can shine. If you read the story, you will laugh, you will cry, and you will learn that life is not always fair, but love and courage can keep you standing. Once upon a time, in the busy city of Lagos, there lived a girl called Zuri. She was only 11 years old, but her eyes carried the brightness of the sun. Her skin glowed like smooth brown chocolate. Her smile could melt even the hardest heart, and her laughter filled the small home where she lived with her parents. Zuri was not just a child, she was the heartbeat of her family. Her father, Chuka, was a hardworking man, tall and strong, who drove a small bus for a living. Every evening he came home covered in dust and sweat, but his face always lit up when he saw Zuri run to him shouting, "Papa, Papa, welcome!" Her mother, Ada, was a gentle woman with kind eyes and a voice soft like music. She sold fruits in the market, always wrapping Zuri in hugs that smelled of oranges and mangoes. Their home was small, just 2 rooms in a crowded compound, but inside it was full of love, peace, and laughter. At night, they would sit together and eat rice with stew, sometimes beans, sometimes just bread and tea, and Chuka would tell funny stories until Zuri fell asleep on Ada's lap. Life was not rich, but it was beautiful. But life, oh life, does not always stay the same. One hot afternoon, when the streets of Lagos were full of honking cars and shouting traders, tragedy came like a thief. Chuka was driving home when a truck lost control and crashed into his bus. The sound was loud like thunder, metal tearing, glass shattering, people screaming. By the time help arrived, Chuka was gone. The news hit Ada like a heavy stone. She fell to the ground, holding her stomach because she was pregnant, and cried until her voice broke. Zuri stood there, shaking, not understanding why people kept saying, "He is gone, he's gone." She ran to touch her father, but all she felt was his cold hand. That was the day her world cracked open. After Chuka's death, Ada tried to stay strong. She told Zuri, "We will be fine. God will help us." But slowly, problems began to pile up. The landlord came knocking, demanding rent. The hospital where Chuka's body was kept asked for money before releasing it. Even the bus company wanted payment for the damaged vehicle. Ada begged her husband's brothers for help, but they looked at her with cold eyes. "You are not our problem," one of them said. "Find your way." She turned to her own parents, but they too pushed her away. That was when Ada learned a secret she had never known. She was adopted. Her mother's voice was sharp. "You were never truly ours. We took you in, but you have always been different. Do not come back here with your shame." Ada felt her heart tear into pieces. She was alone, completely alone. Soon, the landlord threw them out. Ada carried her small bag, her swollen belly, and held Zuri's hand as they walked the streets with nowhere to go. Day turned to night, and finally they found a place under a bridge where other homeless people slept. That was where they laid their heads, on cold ground, with mosquitoes singing and cars rushing above. Zuri hugged her mother tightly. "Mama, when will we go home?" she asked. Ada swallowed her tears and whispered, "Soon, my child. Very soon." But in her heart, she did not know how. Life on the streets was war. Every morning, Ada would tie a wrapper around her waist, balance a tray of oranges on her head, and tell Zuri to help her sell. Zuri's small voice would call out, "Buy oranges, buy fresh oranges." Her little legs walked long distances, her eyes always sharp to avoid cars and okadas. Sometimes people bought from her, sometimes they insulted her. At night, she and her mother counted the small coins together, praying it would be enough to buy bread or rice. Zuri began to understand things no 11-year-old should know. Hunger that makes your stomach twist, fear of strange men walking too close, the shame of people looking at you like trash. Yet through it all, she never let go of her mother's hand. Not everyone was cruel. Sometimes, strangers showed kindness. A woman selling akara gave them leftover food. A bus driver allowed Zuri to sit and rest in his empty bus when the sun was too hot. One night, a church group passed by under the bridge, singing songs and sharing bread. Zuri learned something important, that even in the darkest place, there were small lights. and those small lights kept her heart from breaking. But Ada's body was not as strong as her spirit. With the pregnancy growing heavier and the stress of hawking every day, her health began to fail. Sometimes she coughed so hard she could not speak. Sometimes she sat by the roadside, holding her chest, trying not to faint. Zuri noticed and grew worried. "Mama, you need to rest," she said. Ada smiled weakly. "If I rest, you will not eat." "We cannot rest yet, Zuri." Every night, Ada whispered prayers into the night air, asking God to keep her alive for her children. But fate was watching, waiting to strike again. One rainy evening, as they huddled under the bridge with water dripping around them, Ada pulled Zuri close. Her eyes looked tired, but full of love. "Zuri," she said softly, "whatever happens, never give up. Life is hard, but you are stronger than you know. One day, things will change." Zuri pressed her face against her mother's chest. "I will never leave you, Mama." They both did not know that soon. A reckless driver and a locked hospital gate would test those words. It was a normal day of hawking. Zuri had been running between cars, her small tray bouncing on her head. She had sold a few sachets of water and returned to where Ada stood. Ada smiled, tired but proud. "I will cross to the other side," Ada said, balancing her bucket of chilled water. "Mama, let me go instead," Zuri begged. Something in her heart was uneasy, but Ada shook her head. "Rest, my child. I will be quick." Zuri watched, frozen, as her mother stepped into the road. At first, everything was fine. Cars slowed, drivers waved her on. But then, a white car came speeding out of nowhere. Its horn blared, tires screeched. "Mama!" Zuri screamed. Ada turned, eyes wide, but it was too late. The car hit her hard. The bucket flew. Sachets of water burst open like small bombs. Ada's body landed on the hard asphalt with a sickening thud. The street erupted with noise. People screamed. Cars swerved. Hawkers dropped their trays. Zuri dropped her own tray and ran. Her feet burned. Her chest pounded. Her mind screamed only one word, "Mama." She reached Ada's side. Blood trickled from her mother's head. Her hands shook as she touched her. "Mama, wake up!" Zuri cried, tears pouring down her face. "Please wake up." Ada groaned, her lips barely moving. "Zuri, take care of the baby." "No, Mama. You will not die. You will not." People gathered around, murmuring. Some shook their heads, others whispered, "She will not survive." A man tried to help, but most people just watched. Zuri screamed louder, her small body shaking with fear. "Help us! Please help my mother." Finally, a Kiki driver agreed to carry them. Zuri held her mother's bloody head in her lap, whispering, "Stay alive, Mama. Please stay alive." They arrived at a hospital, but the nurse at the gate stopped them. "Admission requires a deposit of 50,000 naira, she said flatly. "We don't have money," Zuri cried. "Please, she is dying. Help her." The nurse crossed her arms. No deposit, no treatment. Zuri felt her knees weaken. She begged. She even knelt on the dirty floor. "Please, I will work. I will sell water. I will sweep floors, anything. Just save her." But the nurse turned her eyes away. Ada groaned, coughing blood. Zuri shook her, panicking. "Mama, don't close your eyes. Stay with me." She ran from person to person. Patients, strangers, doctors passing by, clutching their clothes, crying, "Please, my mother is dying. Please help us." But people pushed her away, some with pity, some with irritation. To them, she was just a dirty street child. Then, as if fate was waiting for the right moment, a tall man in a white coat walked past. His shoes shined, his face calm but serious. Everyone in the hospital seemed to move aside for him. He was Dr. Joe, the owner of the hospital, a billionaire doctor. Zuri did not know his name, but she felt something strong inside her heart. She ran to him, grabbed his coat with both hands, and refused to let go. "Please, sir, my mother is dying," she cried, her tears wetting his sleeve. "They said no money, no treatment, but she will die if you don't help. Please, sir, please." Dr. Joe looked down at her. Her eyes were wild with fear, her small hands trembling. For a moment, he froze. Something in her desperation pierced through his chest. "Where is she?" he asked. Zuri pulled him with all her strength. "Here! Please hurry! He followed. Nurses scrambled behind him. When he saw Ada on the stretcher, blood covering her clothes, his jaw tightened. "Prepare the theater immediately," he commanded. "Now!" "But sir, the deposit," a nurse began. Dr. Joe cut her off with a sharp look. "Do you want her to die here? Move!" The staff ran, obeying instantly. Ada was wheeled away. Zuri ran beside the stretcher, holding her mother's hand until they reached the operating room doors. The nurse stopped her. "You can't go in." Zuri's hands clung tighter. "Mama, don't leave me." Ada whispered faintly, "Be strong, Zuri," before the doors closed. The waiting room was cold and bright. Zuri sat on a hard chair, her small hands folded tightly, tears streaming. Hours passed like years. Each time the doors swung open, her heart jumped. A kind nurse brought her water, but she could not drink. She prayed, even though she didn't know if God still listened to children like her. "Please don't take my mama. Please." Inside the operating room, Dr. Joe worked quickly. His hands were steady, his eyes sharp. But when he held Ada's wrist to check her pulse, his eyes froze. There on her skin was a small mark, a half-moon birthmark. His own wrist carried the exact same mark. His mind raced. Memories he had buried long ago came rushing back. His mother's crying face, a story of how his twin sister had been stolen at birth, a pain that had followed him all his life. Could this woman be her? He pushed the thought away for the moment. Saving her life came first. But the mark burned in his mind like fire. After hours, the doors finally opened. Dr. Joe stepped out, his face calm but serious. "She will live," he said. Zuri jumped up. "Mama is alive." "Yes. She lost a lot of blood, but we stopped it. She will need rest." Zuri fell to her knees, sobbing with relief. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." Dr. Joe looked at her with strange eyes, soft but also searching. "What is your name, child?" he asked. "Zuri," she said, wiping her tears. "My mother is Ada." The name hit him like lightning. His twin sister's name was Ada too. He nodded slowly. "I need to speak with her when she wakes." Days passed. Ada slowly opened her eyes, weak but alive. Zuri was beside her bed, holding her hand. "Mama, you are alive," Zuri whispered, smiling through tears. Dr. Joe entered the room. His presence filled the space. Ada looked at him, confused. "You saved me?" she asked weakly. "Yes," he said softly. Then his eyes moved to her wrist. "But I need to ask, have you always had that mark?" Ada nodded. "Since I was born." "Why?" Dr. Joe rolled up his sleeve, showing his own identical mark. Ada's eyes widened. What does this mean?" she whispered. "It means," Dr. Joe said, his voice shaking slightly for the first time, "that we may share more than you think. I believe you are my sister, the twin who was stolen from my family." Ada gasped. Zuri's mouth fell open. Dr. Joe continued, "We will do a DNA test. Only the truth will tell." The test was done. The results came back after 3 long days. Zuri never left her mother's side, biting her nails, praying, wondering if life was about to change again. Finally, Dr. Joe walked into the room holding the paper. His hand shook slightly as he read. Then he looked up, his eyes wet. "It's true," he whispered. "You are my sister. Ada, you are my blood." Ada covered her face, tears streaming. She could not believe it. After years of rejection, she finally belonged somewhere. Zuri stared at both of them, heart pounding. Could it be true? Did this mean they had a family now? Dr. Joe stepped closer, his voice firm but tender. "You are not alone anymore. From now on, you and your children are my family." Ada wept. Zuri clung to her mother. For the first time in years, hope was real. But deep in Ada's heart, fear still whispered, "What if this is too good to be true? What if happiness leaves again, just like Chuka did?" Zuri, though young, felt the same unease. Life had taught her that joy could turn into pain in just one blink. And though Dr. Joe smiled, his eyes carried questions about the past, about betrayal, about who stole his sister long ago. Questions that could break the fragile new peace. The darkest night was not over. Ada's strength slowly returned. Dr. Joe kept her in the hospital until he was sure she was safe. Zuri slept beside her bed most nights, holding her hand. Nurses whispered about the little girl who had cried until the billionaire doctor saved her mother. Some called her the child of courage. One bright morning, Ada went into labor. It was long and painful, but at the end, a baby boy was born, tiny, crying, and alive. Ada held him against her chest and whispered, "Welcome, my son. You are hope reborn." Zuri touched his small hand. "I will protect you, little brother," she promised. Dr. Joe stood watching, silent but moved. His sister was alive, and now she had brought new life into the world. When Ada was strong enough, Dr. Joe took them to his home. It was not a house but a mansion. Tall gates, marble floors, shining lights, rooms that looked like palaces. Zuri's eyes grew wide. She had never seen such beauty. "This will be your home now," Dr. Joe said. Ada swallowed hard. "But this is too much." Dr. Joe shook his head. "Family is never too much." Servants carried their bags. Zuri touched the soft bed in her new room. She lay on it and cried, not because she was sad, but because she had never known such comfort. Life in the mansion was strange at first. Zuri, who had once hawked water under the hot sun, now ate breakfast of bread, eggs, and juice every morning. She went to a new school where children wore neat uniforms and carried shiny backpacks. But not everything was easy. Some classmates whispered behind her back, "That's the girl from the street. She doesn't belong here." Zuri pretended not to hear, but inside it hurt. At night, she still dreamed of the bridge, the cold ground, her father's face. She hugged her little brother and whispered to him, "We must not forget where we came from." Ada too struggled. Though she lived in luxury, fear followed her. She often asked herself, what if they throw us out? What if Dr. Joe changes his mind? What if happiness leaves again? One evening, Dr. Joe told Ada, "Our mother wants to see you." Ada froze. The memory of rejection from her adoptive parents was still sharp. "What if she does not want me?" she whispered. Dr. Joe placed a hand on her shoulder. "She lost you once. She will not lose you again." The day of the reunion came. An old woman with tired eyes and trembling hands entered the room. She looked at Ada for a long moment, then burst into tears. "My daughter," she cried, falling to her knees. "They stole you from me. For years I searched. For years I prayed. Forgive me for not finding you sooner." Ada too cried, her body shaking. "I thought I was unwanted all my life. I thought I had no family." They embraced, both weeping, both healed. Zuri and her baby brother watched, not fully understanding, but knowing something sacred was happening. But happiness can be fragile. Not everyone welcomed Ada and her children. Some relatives of Dr. Joe whispered that Ada only wanted wealth. Some servants looked at Zuri with suspicion. Even Ada herself sometimes doubted. One night, Ada confessed to Zuri, "I don't know if this will last. Life has taught me that good things can vanish." Zuri held her mother's hand. "Mama, even if everything goes away, we still have each other. That is enough." Her words were small, but they carried wisdom beyond her years. Slowly, the family began to heal. Dr. Joe spent time with Zuri, teaching her how to ride a bicycle, helping her with homework. He told Ada stories from their childhood, the parts she had missed. Together, they filled in the empty spaces. Zuri started to smile more. Ada began to trust more. The baby grew stronger, his laugh filling the mansion like sunlight. But the scars of the past never fully disappeared. They carried them like faint shadows, reminders of where they had been. One evening, Zuri sat in the garden with her baby brother on her lap. She looked at the stars above and thought about everything. Her father's death, the bridge, the accident, Dr. Joe, the new life. She whispered softly, "Life can be hard, but love can make it better. People can reject you, but family, true family, will always find you." Ada came and sat beside her. Together, they watched the stars. The story of Zuri teaches us something simple but powerful. Never give up, even when life feels unfair. Love and kindness can change destinies. Family is not only about blood, but about care, forgiveness, and standing together. Even when life breaks you, courage and compassion can build you again. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you might not hear my voice again, but if you are, then you are growing every day. Check my page for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.